I'm going to start. I'm really close friend with Peter de Waal. I've got the absolute pleasure of being here. I'm a close friend of Peter's, but I'm just one of millions of LGBT people who benefited from the struggles and bravery that are outlined in his memoir, and I know that you'll enjoy to read it. We should begin by acknowledging that we are on the unceded lands of the Wongal people of the Eora Nation. We pay our respects to their elders, past and present, and extend that respect to any Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander people who are here with us tonight. This has been a place of storytelling, resilience, of song, community for many thousands of years, long before Balmain Town Hall became a site of protest and celebration, and we'll talk more about that later. This always was and always will be Aboriginal land. I also acknowledge the community elders and heroes who are here with us tonight. We have several 78ers and activists and leaders here who've delivered so much in our campaign and advocacy over the decades. We've also got two special parliamentary guests with us tonight. Minister, the Honourable Penny Sharp-Edmondsley, and the local Greens member, Kobe Shetty. Thank you so much for being here and for supporting our community. A little bit of housekeeping. Toilets are down here to my left, your right. The emergency exit stairs are at the back right-hand side. No smoking and vaping, all the usual things. And I'm sure you've noticed that we've got a fabulous bar down the back for the people that are trolleyed. Please enjoy it. So, this is a self-published project from Peter, and with the help of some really generous sponsors, he's got this off the ground pretty much single-handedly. He's still a couple of grand short of a cost recovery, so please buy a copy. I know you will really enjoy the book. It's a fabulous story. Afterwards, after you hear from our guests, please come and have a photo taken with Peter. We'd really love to see you if he hasn't already. And now, to kick us off, we're going to be joined by the Sydney Gay and Lesbian Choir, with musical director Adam Maishe and principal pianist Kane Whitney.
Thank you.
Geneva for now, who you're all familiar with already, and his achievements, his role in activism in the community. So I'll just say something very brief about the man. He wears his heart on his sleeve. He loves very deeply. He's generous and he's kind. But he's also not shy away from his vulnerabilities. And his memoir is an honest reflection of his journey that we might all learn from it. He's led an extraordinary life, and his memoir is that extraordinary story, and it has lessons for all of us. Please join me in welcoming Peter de Waal.
Well, where to start? I suppose where to begin. Oh, better put my glasses on. Dear friends, dear allies, dear comrades, a warm welcome, one and all, to this truly special occasion. Whether you're here in person or tuning in later to YouTube or Facebook, I want to say a special word about my beloved sister, who's 4 years older and turned 90 last year. She would love to be here, but she can't. So, yeah. Big cheerio to her. I've been waiting for this splendid moment, since 2009. Like the first drop of rain after a very, very long drought. Like the first drop of, I've said that, sorry. It all began when a former work colleague, Wendy Hooper, in an unexpected yet determined tone said, "Now Peter, when are you going to write your memoir? You've lived such an amazing and interesting life." Since that moment, countless memories, revisions, and revelations have ebbed and flowed. While collaborating with dear friend Peter Stahl, each shaping my memoir into what it is today. So a big thank you to Peter. A heartfelt thank you to Inner West Council for your very generous gold sponsorship and for providing this 1890s beautifully refurbished hall free of charge. Fabulous trolleys, they're known for their first-class trolley bus service. They're another gold sponsor. And wow, thank you for being here and serving beautiful drinks. To the, emotional moment, to these wonderful Sydney gay and lesbian choir, your voices filled with warmth and belonging are a truly cherished gift to us all tonight. To my silver and individual sponsors, your invaluable financial support has made this all possible. Without your generosity and many others, my memoir would never have been conceived, let alone brought to life. And to those who will hopefully take a copy home tonight, your support means the world. I want to tell you a true story about one of the many times my beloved home faced discrimination, but it took an unexpected, really nice twist. From the early 1960s, my beloved Peter Balmain and and his photo is here tonight, carried deep, unhealed scars. Yes, they were festering wounds from a relentless religious struggle. These wounds, etched into his very gentle soul, were the price of his courageous pursuit of equality and happiness. His determination to live authentically brought him face to face with the formidable Bishop James Houston at St. John's Anglican Theological College in Morpeth. One day, the bishop, with a stern voice, rang out, "Why didn't you disclose your 1950s homosexual offences to me?" Those so-called offences were nothing more than two minor consensual encounters between adult men, very common, yet criminalised in the 1950s era. Without flinching, Paul met the bishop's gaze and answered in piercing clarity, "My lord, you didn't ask me when you tested my vocation." A week later, after a college retreat and time of prayer, Bishop Houston posed a different question. "What do you want most in your life, Peter?" Paul, ever true to himself, responded with unwavering courage, "My Lord, I want to live with the man I love and be an Anglican priest." The answer sealed Paul's fate. He was dismissed. And to my utter delight, I became the man he loved. He nurtured my soul, embraced me for who I was. He was my lovely love for over 50 years. We'd hoped for more time, but alas, it was not to be. This is the significant and hallowed rainbow space. Over 50 years ago, the campaign against moral persecution, paved the way for Australia's rainbow nation, rainbow community, with Bob and myself exemplifying the courage and resilience. Its club rooms and national headquarters still stand in the sandstone building. It's just across the road. I want to pay my deepest respects to CAMP's co-founders, Peter de Waal and John Ware, for their 1970 courage and vision in creating this national movement. CAMP's colonial building was in a triangle of fear foes. The police next door, whose commissioner frequently proclaimed, "Homosexuals are a cancer in society." The Returned Services League, or RSL, down the road, prompted police to arrest us, homosexual, for laying a wreath at Sydney Cenotaph. The Police Boys Club, now called Police Boys Citizens Youth Club, there in the building next door, accused us all of being pedophiles. The only friend CAMP had were the New South Wales Fire Brigade, adjacent to CAMP's building. As Frank Morehouse intimated in the 1971 bulletin, CAMP, opening its Balmain club rooms, was daring beyond measure. The 1970s were a time of crushing oppression, a vile, unforgiving era of deep-seated homophobia. To exist as a homosexual, now labelled queer, was to live in the shadows, concealed behind a veil of secrecy. I've never met a homosexual before, people would say, oblivious to the forced invisibility we endured. Fear ruled our lives, fear of coming out, of police brutality, of vicious, unchecked Unterwäschings. Male-to-male sex was a crime. New South Wales illiberal Premier Robert Escott once bellowed from his open-top luxury car, "Run the bastards over," when confronted by demonstrators. We were underdogs, kicked from every direction. Scum of the earth, they called us. Until 1973, we were classified as mentally ill, subjected to degrading and painful aversive therapies. Our very identities deemed a sickness to be cured. Lesbian mothers couldn't retain custody of their children after divorcing their husbands. Society cast us out, isolating us like exiles on a forsaken island where shame and rejection and violence were our daily reality. But in this very hall, in 1971, we defied that fear. Camp held its very first public dance here, transforming this space into a rare sanctuary. Outside, ignorance thrived. Inside, we danced. For many, it was the first time holding a same-sex partner in public, like comrades behind oppressive barricades, feeling fleeting freedom in one's other's arms. There was laughter, frivolity, and flirting, and a growing sense of belonging, and emerging defiance against a world that sought to erase us. This hall became a tiny haven on an otherwise vast, prideless, and hateful map. To protect us, a couple of New South Wales Council of Civil Liberty lawyers stood by, ready to intervene should the ever-present threat of a police raid turn our joy into yet another act of survival. That night was more than just a dance. It was a historically significant act of resistance, a poignant moment of solidarity, and an insightful glimpse into the power of community. It was proof that even in the darkest times, courage can carve out spaces of light. Tonight we gather once more in this beautiful rainbow sanctuary, not in secret nor fear, but in celebration. We stand in the light, honoring those who paved the way, recognizing the battles fought and acknowledging the victories won. This is not just a moment of reflection. It's a call to a remembrance and resilience. Our story, woven with courage, dignity, and defiance, isn't meant to be erased. We've come far, but the struggle is not over. Around the world, including Australia, hard-won rights are under threat. And history warns us that silence is never an option. We must keep telling our truth, sharing our stories, and standing together against those who would turn back time. So tonight, let us celebrate not just survival, but triumph. And let us do so with purpose to mark the publication of my memoir, a testament to defying the odds as a non-Anglo immigrant in 1950s Australia, and where my sexual identity was formed, and where past traumas forged my courage, resilience, with determination to live, to drive change, improving lives. Thank you.
evening, Delilah. Six foot four. Good evening, everyone. It is my great honour to be here tonight. My name is Evan Thornton, and I met Peter back in 2018. We met at the celebration of Peter de Waal's life. For those of you who don't know, Peter de Waal was one of the first and longest volunteers to serve on the 1973 Phone a Friend, now 2010, the Gay and Lesbian Counselling Service, and Q Life nationally, founded by Peter de Waal and his beloved life partner Bon in their Balmain lounge room, as the momentum for gay liberation began to form. At the time, I was educating myself about Australia's queer history and was familiar with the brave and important activism Peter de Waal had undertaken in his life. So when I saw him in the audience at the celebration, I was in awe and a little bit starstruck. I managed to be introduced to him, and from there, a wonderful friendship began to blossom. Peter has asked me to share with you a real event that occurred in his life, where his true courage, resilience, and non-conformity shone through. On a cold and windy day, as drafts whispered around Peter de Waal, memories of his wartime childhood resurfaced, sharp and relentless. Yet, amidst this mental storm, he felt a profound resilience stir within, like water drawn from a hidden well in a distant desert. As an 80-ish self-birthday gift, he participated in ACON's Love Lines art course, led by Guy James Whitworth and Russ Glyas. I hope I pronounced that right. There, he honed his skills in sketching models' poses, postures, and colours. The course culminated in a transformative final session where they modelled for one another. True to himself, he turned the experience into a fusion of performance and storytelling, a bold act of truth-telling and healing. While others embraced Mardi Gras-inspired glamour, adorning themselves in dazzling outfits, he chose simplicity. From the wardrobe table, Peter picked a humble crown. Secretly, he planned a pose that was understated but powerful. With trembling hands and steady resolve, he crafted a statement of courage and political defiance. His modesty panel, adorned with a pink triangle, the haunting emblem of 1940s homosexual oppression, concealed his masculinity. In a calm and steady voice, Peter spoke. This happened in my lifetime. It scarred my childhood with trauma, hunger, fear, and misery. The same Nazi regime that brutalized my family also persecuted countless others, including our rainbow ancestors. He honoured the homosexual victims of the Holocaust, forced to wear pink triangles and endure unimaginable suffering in the death camps. And Peter concluded with a plea: live fully, love deeply, and never forget. Learn from our tragic past, for history is cyclical. Good can turn to evil overnight. Work together, improve lives, and ensure such horrors never return. Affectionately known as Mr. Painter Extraordinaire, Guy James Whitworth, who I believe is in the building. Guy, are you here? Raise your hand. Yeah! Captured a special moment in a vibrant sketch. It has graced Peter's wall, a poignant reminder of that day. This lovely artwork has been replicated into Peter's memoir cover. So congratulations, Peter. It was a pleasure to speak here tonight, and I wish you the best for this physical launch.
We have another very special guest with us tonight to formally launch Peter's memoir with a special Q&A with the author. He's a broadcaster, he's a journalist, he's a rainbow champion. He is without a doubt the most beautiful and articulate person on primetime TV.
Look at the gays doing a bit of redecorating while we're... Couldn't help it. Move the mic stand, move the leg too.
All those gorgeous smiles.
Yes, I know, what a great turnout. You're all hearing me okay at the back? Yes? Amazing too? Yes. Yeah, terrific. I just want to say, as a newishly out gay man, found this just such a compelling chronicle that almost never was, right? So it captures your experience, Peter, of being an immigrant, of being gay, about a prolonged sense of displacement and occasional loneliness in your life, which you write about. And all that as death came knocking a few times. There was the bombing raids during World War II. There was the landmine that took a friend of yours, very nearly took you. There was the car crash where the family car flipped over. And then there was your pram that accidentally rolled into a canal. In many ways, you shouldn't be here.
But I am.
But you are. And as if to test fate, there was this bold embrace of risk throughout your life. You do write about some risky behaviour, but some of those risks led you to some of your biggest loves in your life. And I think the timelessness of your story calls us to reflect on how we define home, character, legacy, and to remember that even in the darkest times, we should honour and remember people such as you, who long before Gloria Gaynor was saying, "Oh no, not I will survive." And you've done more than survive, you've thrived. Peter, I want to begin with your childhood, where you recall World War II, you recall the bombs falling, and you recall a sense of displacement. What did that do to shape your character?
It's left me with a trauma of feeling very quickly abandoned. And there's always making new friendships. There's always that sense of, will this friend abandon me? I try to not think of it, but it's there. But I also think that sense has made me, in a way, a really strong person. I've had to learn to survive. And I think I have. Well, I'm 86 and I'm still here. Again, to use it, I suppose, a common term, it was character building in a way. I had to find ways of living or surviving in a world where survival was really very difficult. And
I always think about how character modelling is so important for young children. That, there's this basic idea that you can't be what you can't see. You didn't have many models growing up, and you wrote in the book about your father. I longed for him to cuddle me, to pick me up, to tell me he loved me. But the diaries that were left showed me he simply didn't know how. They contained no emotion. What principles, in the absence of a character to model yourself on, what principles did you use to form your own character?
I think my mother was the total opposite. And I think it was my mother actually who was my unusually, fathers usually can be role models in many instances. My mother was my role model of being generous, even in difficult times, of just one example. In those days, housewives, mothers used to go shopping every day, and she would walk through the street going to Greengrocer maybe and see some person in the street, and she would say, "Hello, how are you?" Total stranger. And next, they'd be home for coffee. And there was a circle of friends, and I think that made me survive. That was my role.
There's a theme in this book that I see over and over again. It's about what home is defined to be. You crave a sense of home and stability, and yet it seems elusive at times. There was a time when you returned to The Hague and realised that was no longer your home, and then you were in Melbourne and you kind of felt at home, but it was a bit, you were displaced, and it was the same in Sydney when you moved here with Bob. When you look back on your life now, when did you feel most at home, and what did home mean? Because it's clearly not a place.
I learned to feel at home once I'd met Bob, and it took a long time for me to trust him because of my background with my father. But once I did, he became everything. And being an immigrant, someone had told me that once you get old in Australia, and if you have your own home, no matter what, you will survive. And so there was that drive of having a home. And once we got a home, that was it, to put a key in our own door and to enter it and to be in a space that was safe, that was away from all that horrible stuff I've described in my talk. It felt like a sanctuary.
But it didn't end there, because it also became a home to other people.
Oh,
and you understood their displacement.
Yeah. It was just something about, and I think again, my mother being the kind of role model, inviting people into your home. And it's your home where you make friends, where you retain friends, where you resolve issues, where you comfort each other, and that's home.
Now, there was a particular anecdote in the book about a date night with a particular man, and I actually gasped out loud when I read this book. And some of you may know the story. I certainly didn't. It was a man named David Connolly. And I'm going to read a passage here, and I'm going to get you to take over. When David told me of his profession, I was shocked. It called into doubt the possibility of something more permanent. While the emotional connection and my lust was still there, my lack of confidence about how to go about a real relationship, combined with the perceived incongruence of a secret homosexual life and David's role, made it seem less real. Why don't you tell everyone why that relationship that you wanted with David never came to pass?
There are a couple of reasons. So early in life, although I was brought up as a Catholic, I learned the Latin Mass to sing, and I still remember some Latin. I have no idea what the words mean, but I can sing it. I can listen to it. But I got to a stage, and I think it was more when I've always known I was different, but I couldn't put a label or a word to it. I knew I was different. But once I started to realize that my sexuality was different compared to the other boys at school, and there was something about religion that just didn't gel.
And the problem was that David was...
And David was a clergyman.
I know, right? Exactly. At a
beat we met, Alva Road in St Kilda. Wow, it was an extraordinary moment. There was something in the air that night, I'm not sure now if he invited me to his home or I invited him to mine.
Okay, the way you tell it in the book was that he invited you to his home.
Yeah.
You turned up there, and someone else answered the door. It was his housemate.
So there was Paul in brown corduroy trousers, had a business shirt on, no tie, his eyes were just, he had beautiful hazel-colored eyes, wow. I caught those eyes, and there was a spark there. But there was also, for Bon, he later recalls in the checkerboard program, he was asked, how did it start? And Bon says, it went just bang. For me, because of my background with my father and feeling quickly abandoned, it took me about 6 months to believe that I could have this relationship.
I want to fast forward here only because we're running out of time. I'm literally prepared for a 3-hour interview.
Maybe you do it another time. Do an ABC special.
Yeah, that's right. I want to fast forward to, you move to Sydney with Bob, you start to become an activist. A little bit against your own grain, because you were inclined to kind of think that this enthusiasm for being an activist that Bon had was about to, in your words, fling you off a cliff. All of a sudden, the ABC comes knocking and says, hey, how about a documentary? And that documentary would televise the very first same-sex kiss between a couple. Were you prepared for the impact that would have?
No idea. We were totally committed to be part of bringing about change. We were very naive, very naive, but totally committed to the cause, so to speak. And the activism was in our DNA, so to speak. And that's what, we had no idea about the kiss. I think Neil Munro, who was the producer, he himself was gay, but a bit in the closet. And I think he He encouraged us to do it. And of course, you know, if you look at it, it was just, you know, a little cat on the hips. We had many, many better kisses.
A lot of young people today think of 1978, the very first Mardi Gras, being an explosion of progressivism for the rainbow community, when in reality, the advances were being made decades before that. You were a key part of that in Australia. You write in the book that you've written this to record a lesson for future generations to remain vigilant and to continue the fight for equality and justice, as history has shown how quickly progress can be reversed. Now, many people in the rainbow community today note the huge strides that have been made since your time, but also feel some significant regression in 2025. As someone who's been through the ups and downs of progress, what do you say to those people who are leading the movement now about how to cope and manage setbacks that many feel are taking place today?
Stay together, work together at the barricades of oppression. Working together as with a particular goal in mind to either maintain what we've got or maybe some more future changes. I think working together, being a united force for certain things, I think that's how it works. To have comrades that you can, perhaps cry on the shoulder and say, it is bloody hard to do this, but let's do it together, and that makes the task much easier. So it's a sense of community, of belonging, of working together.
There's a mantra you repeat throughout the book, something that was in your mind from a very young age. And it goes something like this. It takes a few forms in the book, but it says, the world can be a better place. You recall that mantra in times of sadness, in times of hope. Tell me where that comes from and what it means to you today.
So during my childhood, we lived in a house. Just behind the house, the Nazis were testing the V2s, which were the very early rockets, of course, the rockets that are going to the moon today. They were testing those, and they were in very early stages. So they would go up, and we would hear the noise and never know, would they fall on our house, would they turn towards the North Sea. My mother, being the nurturer, when these things happened, she had told us we all needed to be together in her bedroom, sitting on her bed, and because if we were to go, we were to go together. But at the same time, Mother, for some, I don't know how she did this, she would hum music, sounds, or she would try and tell stories, perhaps to relieve her own fear, but also certainly to help us. She did deep breathing, she did with us. She held us tight. At the same time, my dad, being a religious man, he would say something like, "Has thou forsaken us?" And then it would be followed by, "But the world can be a better place." That's where it comes from.
You speak about a spark of anger at the moment you decided you needed to be an activist. Rage is a powerful motivator. Where does it sit alongside forgiveness and deciding who is worthy of it?
With some people, I found forgiveness really difficult. With others, it depends on what has transpired. For example, what the Nazis did to me and to my folk and my family is something unforgivable. And things that are happening today, which resemble what happened in the 30s, these are unforgivable, these are inhuman. So, other people, whether perhaps more, lesser things, to talk about it perhaps, to each other and say, look, why did you do that? Or why? And let's sit together and face each other and say, can you explain it? And perhaps, we can reconcile.
I have a final question for you. There is an image I know in your mind that has replayed over and over again of a young Peter de Waal stepping off the SS Walia on your return to Australia that you remember. What do you say in your mind to young Peter about the life that you've had?
It's been an extraordinary life. I've had a lot of encouragement from Bob. At some stage we had a 3-person relationship, and that was just absolutely extraordinary. Those 2 people, they were my later life mentors, so to speak. They encouraged me to do my higher school certificate. They helped me with writing my first essays. I've never written one. They supported me financially as well as emotionally to eventually do 4 years at university, and that was huge for me, because I came during the war. There was no education. I came to Australia. I could hardly speak English. I could write and read, but very poorly.
You've had an extraordinary life, Peter.
Indeed.
I remember the first time I met you, just in conclusion, I felt so compelled to come up to you and say thank you. Because the things that you've done for the community, the battles that you started fighting, are not over yet. And I know we had an embrace, and Ida Buttrose was right there, my former boss, and she was sort of looking at us and saying, this is a bit profound, isn't it? And it was a really profound moment, and I know you've had that impact on countless people, and I hope you feel that and know that every day. Congratulations on putting together this chronicle of your life, of the times that we have lived in. It is an important part of history. So thank you and congratulations.
Adam, I say, could you join us on stage briefly, and also Guy James Whitworth, and one of the folks from Trollope, who's it Trollope? Right below.
It's a beautiful image.
I want to thank you, wow, you're amazing people. The warmth, the belonging you spread is just extraordinary. So I want to give you a copy of the book as a memento of the wonderful time you've given.
And you have this one.
Wow, Jeremy, thank you. something special about you. And thank you for who you are. God. This is Mr. Painter extraordinaire. He made that beautiful sketch for me, I think in a matter of 10 seconds. He obviously was very inspired. So I want to thank you for allowing me to use the sketch as the cover of my wonderful memoir, and also another sketch you've done of Paul, which I've used as a part of the dedication in the memoir. So thank you. Thank you.
I'm standing here in the t-shirt that I slept in last night. I didn't know I was on there. But I just want to say thank you for a lot of inspiration. You're an incredibly inspiring person, and like many people in this room, I'm in awe of you and everything that you do. Thank you.
You know who he is. Sorry. My dear friend Peter Starr, you'll read the story how we met, actually via fax, which is quite interesting. True story. Thank you for the countless times, the 2.5 years I think we've worked together on this. There were times I cried because my traumas resurfaced, and Peter was there to support me and give me a hug and said, "You'll be all right." So thank you for being a beautiful friend, comrade, and working and producing an extraordinary piece of literature.
If you haven't picked up your pre-ordered copy of the book, they're down into my left stage. And we're going to be having an opportunity for you to purchase the book here, get it signed. Because of Peter's tremor, we have a beautiful rubber stamp to take the place of his. It was an illegible signature anyway, so the stamp is actually really nice. And if you want to grab a photo with Peter, he'd love that. Thanks, everyone.
You're very welcome. We all have our thoughts of fun. Thank you.